What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Big Five Pod, episode number 71. I'm your co-host, Kyle Morello. Next to me is your co-host, Jake Copestick. And Jake, this is episode number 71. If you want to speak of something in the 70s, as of this recording, Joel Embiid putting up a 70 piece for the Sixers tonight. Not college basketball, but as a Sixers fan, you got to be feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking impressive of me. And I hate that I'm telling you before we started here. I hate to be like the guy who hates fun. I thought he should have been pulled. I'm not watching this game, first of all. I mean, I said to Kyle also pre-show, like I don't really watch the NBA during college basketball even, but 65 and the last time I checked was 65 and 17 rebounds in the box score. That's insane. I probably would have pulled him after that, but let
He's
the
got
man get
70 and 18 now.
that's like
It's absurd.
That's unheard of. Devin Booker had 70 for this man to grab almost 20 rebounds to go along with that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Two more
And five
rebounds.
assists.
Yeah, not too shabby. Two more rebounds and he'll have a Dolphins Broncos score from week 3 going on his box. But yeah, pretty fucking impressive. I don't imagine we're gonna see that from any individually from many Big Five teams this weekend, and we certainly don't have any of those to cover
No.
from the weekend.
No, I would imagine not. It's actually hard for some of these teams to even score 70 points as a team in the 40 minutes that they're allotted. And Joel's doing it in 37 tonight, so that's pretty crazy. But enough with the Sixers, even though that is very, very impressive. So I guess shout out to Joel Embiid, but it'll always be let's go Knicks forever. We had a lot of action in the Big Five this weekend. There's a lot of action around college basketball as well. So we're gonna get right into it. Cope's quick hitters. Cope, go get that ball. Let's run the break. Be careful. Still a little icy from this weekend snowstorms, but it was a little warmer today. So hopefully that helped you out there. But let's hear Cope's quick hitters. Run that break.
Yeah, we really haven't had any as of late. So yeah, I have my ball. I have a never flat, so it's not like I needed to give it a pump from not using it. So I got my ball in my hand. We'll run the break here. Couple things. We'll start out with some, I guess, bad news, and then I'll talk about something that is just kind of ridiculous, kind of like an Embiid type stat line we have going on. So first, um, we'll get to some actual Big Five news. There's a coaching change I want to cover here. Kafik Myers committed to St. Joseph's, currently a senior at Newman Goretti. He just tore his ACL, unfortunately. He was averaging over 17 points a game. The NG Saints were 13-0 overall. They were 4-0 in PCL play, according to Rich Flanagan, who had the scoop on that. Unfortunate blow for Newman Goretti. It sucks because a guy like Myers, his last year, this good of a team, were probably going to play in the Palestra. I mean, certainly they were going to get there for the Final Four, potentially the championship game as well. So, shame that he won't be able to play. And you know, if you're just a fan that likes to go to that, like it sucks. You're not going to be able to see one of the best players in the city who's going to stay home that you don't really see too often, be able to play his senior year in the Palestra for the Catholic League. So, unfortunate news there. Desir Haskins, who's at St. Joseph's right now, not injury related, but he decided to. It was decided he was going to redshirt this year, so probably not out of the question if that's going to be the case for Kafik Myers here. You know, you look at a 8, 9, 10 month type recovery for an injury like this. It puts them kind of smack in the middle of next season conference, non-conference slate, the beginning of conference play. So I think there's definitely a red shirt on the table here with him. So unfortunate news here, not only for the immediate future, but also long-term Hawks fans, looking like it'll probably take another year for Kafik Myers at the court on Hawk Hill. Next, we have our first coaching change in college basketball. Well, excuse me, not the first one, the first firing. There had been a step down at Charleston Southern, a mutual parting of ways, but no firings just yet, at least to my knowledge that I can think of off the dome. Tony Stubblefield fired at DePaul, who was absolutely abysmal this year, and I think I'm being too nice saying that about them this year, Kyle. Stubblefield, 28 and 54 overall in 2+ seasons, did not even reach the 3-season mark. 3 and 15 overall were the Blue Demons this season. They were 0-7 in Big East play. Stubblefield was 9 and 38 overall in Big East play. They just lost 100-62 against the Bryce Hopkins list Providence Friars. They just lost 74-60 at Hinkle Fieldhouse against Butler. And I want to see if you can guess this, Kyle. In 7 Big East games, they're 0-3. Excuse me, 0-7. Jeez, I don't know how I did that. It's been a long day. Just get off the train. Um, what I want you to guess here. What is DePaul's margin of loss, their margin of defeat through 7 Big East games? It is not a total, it's not a whole number, but if you can get close, I'll be impressed. I just want like this will make you realize just how bad they've been this season.
They just lost by 38. They just lost by 14 before that. 24, I think. So I'm gonna guess.
You're close.
Am
They're
I?
not that they're bad. They're not that bad. It's
Okay.
just north of 19 points a game.
Okay.
Is
That's
how
still
bad.
pretty bad, Cope.
Yes. In addition to losing multiple bye games, Northern Illinois, Long Beach State, been very, very bad for DePaul this year.
Yikes.
It's a tough job. There's not really any NIL money. John Fanta had sent out a tweet today that their NIL money's in the realm of $200,000, Kyle, which is far below the rest of the Big East and what some of
Yeah.
the big time programs have. I mean, St. John's, UConn, like you're talking about even probably Villanova. You're talking about some collectors that are in the millions. So financially, it's very, very hard to compete there. They play off campus at Wintrust Arena, almost a situation that's similar to Georgetown, where they play at Capital One Arena downtown. They don't have an on-campus arena. Now they are building a practice facility on campus. That is a surefire recruiting pitch to prospective recruits. Sounds like they're going to come with a big financial offer to the next guy. The name I see flying around, Kyle, Will Wade at McNeese.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you have to make a splash here.
Yeah.
Hire some assistant from some other school. Don't hire a first-year head coach. Not that like Stahl would have been in Oregon and everything, but let's don't do something like that. You need to make a splash. Go for a Will Wade. I don't think this would work because I think currently the program this guy is in is better than DePaul, but Dusty May maybe is a name. You have to go after someone who's had a lot of success
Yeah.
for sure. I've seen Tom Crean's name thrown around. Always interesting when a guy gets fired when you see a ton of names that are tossed around here. I've seen Porter Moser even thrown it. It probably just is a meme, but I don't think he's leaving Oklahoma. But yeah, we have our first coaching firing this season in Tony Stubblefield. There's going to be a job open in the Big East here. So many good coaches in this conference. You have, and that's another thing, Kyle. Just think of the quality of coaches in this conference. You have to make a splash. Have to. You have to. So DePaul is open. Abysmal year. Nova's already played them twice. Drubbed them both times. I mean, the time in Chicago was really never a game when they played them just for the new year. And last but not least, Kyle, I want to pull this up. What is more impressive? Joel Embiid with so how many did he finish with? All right, one
It was
final.
70 and 18
Okay, so what's more impressive, Kyle?
and 5.
Joel Embiid scoring 70 points in 37 minutes, or probably even more impressive than that, if you can believe it. Temple commit Dylan Battie. I had to take a double take this. I didn't believe it. He put up 41 points and 6 boards in 9 minutes over the weekend.
9?
9 minutes.
41 points
Yes.
in 9 minutes.
He has to tweet it from his Twitter account.
How?
I don't know.
9 minutes?
I don't know. Maybe
First of all, why is he only playing 9 minutes? That's
maybe they were playing against the Spurs.
maybe they were playing against the Spurs.
I mean,
Oh my
holy
God.
smokes,
41 and 6 in 9
What-
minutes. So he was averaging
Am I
like
getting duped here? This
around like over 4 points a minute.
yeah. I have to be getting duped here. Like
Oh my
I don't even
God.
believe this. Yeah, he went off for 41 points in just 9 minutes. They won 119 to 28.
Maybe they were playing the Spurs.
They might have been playing a middle.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any Wemby on that opposing team, but wow.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Holy moly.
41 points in 9 minutes. I think that might be the only thing more impressive than what Embiid did. Think about that.
The only other thing I can think of is Trace McGrady. That's about it. But
That's it. So,
holy moly. Okay.
So yeah, if that could be our segue into Temple here, because they certainly they should have this guy early enroll now if that's going to be the case.
They do need some scoring, Cope. They only put up 66 points in their 69-66 loss to Rice on Saturday. The Battle of the Owls did not go in Temple's favor. Um, they were down 41-28 at halftime at this game, so they did show a little bit of fight back in this. Heiser Miller, we had highlighted on the last episode that he needed to have a bounce back game, and he did. A very efficient 24 points and 7 assists, 9 of 12 from the field, 4 of 5 from 3. So very, very nice performance from him. Steve Settle, too, 15 points on 5 of 11 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3, which isn't too bad. Jordan Riley had 12 and 8 of his own. Here are the two problems with this game, Cope. One, they got out-rebounded, 38-28, including 10-4 offensively. Obviously, second chance points. We've talked about that a lot. And this is the big kicker right here. And not so much a theme for Temple so far this year. It's more been shooting from outside the arc that hasn't been all that great, but 7 of 14 from the line. I don't know what the exact percentage was going into this game, but they've been pretty solid from the line this year. And you lose by 3 and you miss 7 free throws. I mean, you do the math, Cope, and that's that. So, again, a disappointing performance from our Temple Owls of the Big Five. So, not great here. Cope, what do you got to say about this one?
Not a ton. I didn't watch this game because this game was a 2 o'clock tip, and I was in St. Joe's, which is a 2:30 tip on Saturday. Yeah, Kyle Rice hadn't won an AAC game going into this, and at home to have to fight back to make this a game, disappointing. But we have to temper our expectations. Like, it was nice to see this team start out 3-0. It was nice to have a bit of a honeymoon phase, I guess, as they call it, when they started out great, and we liked what we saw in the offseason. They kept Heiser Miller, and they brought in a bunch of transfers, and they brought in Adam Fisher, who cares a lot, and I think he will be very good here, and he's already getting commits, like Dylan Batiste that we talked about. But this year is going to be pretty trying. That's just what it's going to be. Some of the teams that they brought into this conference, like North Texas and FAU, like they're pretty, like they are good. You can't really say the league got better when they lost Cincinnati and they lost Houston, but like it's not like they brought in teams that are slouches. And especially with Temple undergoing the rebuild that they have, like they're going to have trouble with some of these teams. So it's unfortunate, but I think better days are ahead. And if, like, very early on with a first time head coach and Adam Fisher, I'm not expecting too much this year. So it sucks that they lost. They shouldn't have lost this game. Like, this is a game they had to have. It's nice to have Steve Settle back, who missed the last couple of games. Like, his offense, his spacing, his shooting is huge to have. But we have to temper expectations. It's going to be a tough year, dude. It just is for them. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and we knew that going. But like you said, they got off to a decent start. They were in the Big Five title game. I mean, come on now. Like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
For them, definitely something that we weren't expecting. But yeah, this is crashing back to reality now, unfortunately. Some injuries a little bit didn't help. Yes, you were saying.
I just have one thing I want to say, because my biggest takeaway from this game, because I didn't watch it, was a tweet from John Rothstein, who just has, like, I don't know what to call it, like an infatuation, a fetish. Like, he just loves, like, hating on the Temple program anytime he gets a chance. So he tweets out, the people at Temple who made the decision to move the school's athletics to the AAC have done an incredible service. Everyone involved with the university. I guess that includes us as alumni, right?
I guess so. I don't know.
The Owls just lost to Rice in a league game. And he says, and this was a football move, ? The football team finished 3-9. Like, he just,
he pays attention to other sports.
He just loves doing this, which is a shame. Because, like, it's okay. So it's Stan Drayton's second year. How many starters did they lose? And how many times did we talk about this? Jamil Reynolds at Cincinnati, Caleb Battle at Arkansas, Damian Dunn on Houston, one of the best teams in the country, Nick Jourdain playing for Memphis, who's going to fall out of the top 25 with the 2 losses they had, but we're a top 10 team at one point. Like, they lost a lot of guys that were really in demand, and they haven't been healthy the last couple of years. Now, did they underperform? Yes. But with injuries and a coaching change, like, I feel like he just forgets that stuff, and he just won't drop the football narrative here. I'm not a huge fan of it either, Kyle, because they're a basketball school, And the little bit of success they had with football, and we'll need another episode for this, so I'm going to try and keep this short. But they're still, I just feel like they're still chasing that high from the rule years where they had college game day at Independence Hall and they sold out the lake. Like I still feel like we're chasing that. It's like it's just
Listen,
not gonna it's just
the
not gonna
football
happen.
program's in shambles,
Yes.
and
And
it
the
has
thing,
been for a few years.
they're a stepping stone job, and that can be a good or a bad thing. You look at DCU, how they churn out good coaches, and they always can make really good hires who then go on to Power Five programs. Like they missed a couple times, and the guys that left didn't have the success they did the Power Five them. Like they you know what I mean? They just missed on a couple guys. So football, unfortunately, is a problem because they're trying to invest a lot in it, and I particularly from an outsider's perspective, I mean, I think a lot of people would agree with this. Like support for the basketball team, the investment in that does not seem like it's anywhere close to the football team right now.
No, it's not.
So again, I'll need another episode to go over this. At the time, I don't think the move was necessarily bad because the football team was good when they made the AAC move, and the basketball team was good when they made the AAC move. But now that they're not that good in both, like it's magnified a little bit. But still, I just and I think Rothstein, like the bit is funny, and I think his tweets are funny sometimes, and he's very committed and dedicated to what he does, but he just like fucking loves doing this.
Yeah.
But like he loves like tugging it like poking jabs at Temple all the time here. But it's a first time head coach where like the whole team left. Like yeah, they're not that good. Like you know what I mean? Like, you can't expect a lot. That's what the big story is here. The big story with Temple basketball is not anything to do with the football program right now. It's that they're undergoing a transition. They think they have a good head coach here. It might take a little bit to build. That's what the story is. And you can't you can't rope that in with like all the other outside factors here.
I agree.
Saw that, and again, I'm like I think Rothstein's like it is funny in some of his sayings, and like this is March type and everything, but like come on.
No, I listen. I agree. It sucks what's happened to the football program. I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, there were really good years, which were ending as we were entering and exiting college based on our timelines. The Matt Rule years were great. Jeff Collins years were pretty good. The first year of Rod Carey was good because he had all of Jeff Collins's players and some of Matt Rule's players, which was my last year in college. When they went to the Military Bowl. But since then, it's been very, very bad. It's been about 4 years of really bad football. And the basketball program's kind of followed a similar path, excuse me. There's been maybe not horrible basketball, but there's been very mediocre basketball since my junior year of college when they made the tournament with Shiz Alston's senior year and Fred Dunphy's last year. It's been mediocre basketball since then. And like, obviously, the Aaron McKie era didn't work out. If Adam Fisher had last year's roster, I think like they could potentially be a tournament team, even though I thought that about Temple going in last year because they had talent. I mean, obviously, you mentioned all the players that are at Power Five programs now. It's, is that because they moved to the American that's their fault? I don't think so. I mean, Temple was in the Big East for football. Obviously, that folded. They had to go somewhere. The A10 doesn't have football. They made the move that was best, unfortunately, for the football program, but also like football's huge. There's no denying that. There's no denying the dollars are there over basketball. But they needed somewhere for their football. They weren't going to go independent. It was never going to happen. They're not a big enough school for them to go independent. So this is what had to happen. And it sucks that now the basketball program maybe isn't as good because you don't have some of those traditional rivals that they had with the A10, but also the A10 like isn't great either right now.
Mhm.
Honestly, it's not as great as it has been in years past. This year might be a two-bid league. Last year was a one-bid league. Like, it's not that great. And if Temple was in it, yes, I think it would be better. I think, it would be more traditional, but at the same time, like they're in a decent basketball conference right now. And a decent football conference right now. It's just for the fact that they haven't been getting the recruits in either sport that maybe they had hoped for, or they haven't gotten the coaching or a combination of anything, or you factor in everything that's been going on with the university itself over the last few years that we talked about a lot over the summer. There's a lot of different factors. So yeah, I agree with you for John Rothstein to say that. Kind of stinks. Kind of stings. Hurts a little bit, but that's on the athletic department to fix. Yes.
But I just want to say one more thing about this because everything you outlined, like the overarching point is what's the solution?
Yeah.
Doesn't there's not a clear one. There's not.
The clear
I think that's
solution then was to go to the American.
yes. So it's and like if I don't think that I don't necessarily think they would like go back on that, but now it just doesn't look as great because it's like okay, everybody's just picking and choosing where they want to move. Conferences are moving, and it's like okay, well, their next step is what? So respectfully, Mr. Rothstein, don't want to cause a rise. All I want to say is if you're going to continue to do that, your solution is what? Temple should do what? What makes sense?
I bet you his solution would be for Temple to drop football.
And it would
But
say
that's
go to the
not
A10, and he'd say go to the A10.
yeah, he would say drop
That's what
football,
you
go
say.
to the A10. That's what he would say. Not a feasible thing.
Hmm.
Obviously I'm very frustrated with Temple's football program too, but football makes money. Even if they're not good, they still do make money, even though they have to pay also like a crap ton in rent to the link,
Mhm.
which is a complete other issue. We can go on a whole other podcast about that. But there's no easy solution to this right now. They're gonna have to stick it out. They're just gonna have to be a better program in both sports. That's it. That's it. That's the bottom line. Because the conferences aren't bad, and we've established that. Some of those teams that came in the American are good football teams too. Like North Texas is usually a pretty solid mid-major football team, for an example. So yeah, it stinks where the programs are at right now, specifically the basketball program too, obviously with this. But I think it's going the right direction with Adam Fisher. Hopefully with Stan Drayton in football too. We're gonna go back to solely basketball right now, though. There was another 2 p.m. game on Saturday, this time at the DAC, where Drexel was taking on Delaware, and they dominated. 86-67 final score to remain perfect in Colonial play. Uh, Justin Moore, 18 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, 6 of 13 from the field. Lucas Monroe, actually, I flipped that. It was 5 rebounds, 7 assists. But Lucas Monroe, best game of the year as a Drexel Dragon. 14 points, 12 rebounds on 7 of 9 from the field, which you love to see. Of course, you're going to get your Mari Williams contributions, 14, 5, and 5 on 6 of 8, adding in 3 blocks as well. And Kobe McGee off the bench, another great game, 6 of 7 from the field, 3 of 3 from 3. And this Drexel team has just been absolutely shooting the lights out lately. They shot 60% Cope, 60% in this game, 33-55 from the field, and then 10 of 20 from 3, which if you're doing some quick maths, that's 50%. And they also out rebounded the Fighting Blue Hens 35-21. So sorry to Shelby and all of her friends that went to Delaware. This was not good for you guys, but it was good for the Drexel Dragons. So Cope, they're now still undefeated in Colonial play.
Coastal play.
Coastal.
Excuse you, Kyle. Yeah.
You know, it's first year of the new change.
Yeah.
It's gonna take some time to get used to.
Get
Still,
used to it. I even did a whole quick hitter on the name.
no,
Oh, yes. Never know. More importantly, hey, there's only 2 teams right now, Kyle, in college basketball that are leading their conference standings right now and then have a lead of 2 or more games. Do you know what those 2 teams are?
I believe it would be UConn and the Drexel Dragons.
Is North Carolina
North
and the
Carolina.
Drexel Dragons.
I just saw them. They just beat Wake Forest.
Yeah, feisty Wake Forest team, by the
Yeah.
way. Steve Forbes might be a DePaul guy. I don't know. Guy seems like he can just fix every situation he walks into. So
Yeah.
it's not good for another day. But hey, Drexel, Justin Moore, 18 points in this game. He only had 2 of 13 the last game, probably hit a big 3 against Monmouth to put him ahead. So after a close game where they had to claw back, how about a dominant performance here? To shoot the way they did, again, dominate on the glass, which is how they've been winning a lot of games. One of their callings. Zach Spiker says, "Eat the glass." Make sure you get to you get to the glass on both ends. And look, you know that the first thing I do when I look at a box score is look at rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
I would have already told you they probably would have won a game, maybe not by 19 points, but won the game probably by double digits. Out rebound a team like this, but to shoot like that, I'm shocked they didn't win by more. And they still put up 86 points. So yeah, they've been on a tear right now. their depth, their experience, their minutes continuity from last year to this year is really on display now. Now that it's not like they were still trying to figure things out and get into conference play. It's a tough game every night, and you're still kind of finding your way here. Like they're ready to go.
Oh,
Kobe McGee having a good game from three. Okris has been hot now. Luke House doing his thing, and a really good game from Lucas Monroe, who you know usually you don't get this from him. You just get winning plays and hustle, but for him to have a double double and a 14 points is absolutely huge. So really getting contributions from everybody. They're a well-oiled machine right now. And hey, Mari Williams getting his too. 3 blocks in this one, 14 points. Usually there's not a guy in this league that can stop him on any team. Usually no team has an answer for him every single night. But yeah, what a run these guys are on. 7-0 in conference play. Again, we can keep saying it. They are still the only undefeated team in conference play in the Big Five. Until they lose, that will remain true. They have a winnable game coming up that we'll talk about. It will be a tough one, but yeah, way to protect home court against Delaware, against a team that is their rival in the Coastal Athletic Association. So really good win from them. Good bounce back game from Dustin Moore. Contributions from everybody up and down the lineup, which is how they're going to win. They're going to win with all the bodies they can throw at you and the depth and keeping guys fresh. But really, really good win for them. This is the team I thought I'd see preseason. There was some games I thought they would win in the non-conference. Even they lost a close one to West Virginia. They lost to Princeton, whose only loss is still to Saint Joseph's. But
well,
yeah,
also close one to Temple too.
Yeah. So well, no, Drexel lost. They beat Nova, but then they lost close. Well, yeah, excuse me.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. They lost to Salle as well. So this is the team I thought I'd see though. They're starting to hit their stride now. So far and away, I'd say the favorite in this conference. They have a tough one coming up against Towson that we'll get into. But really, really impressive win for them as they keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, this is like you said, this is the team we thought we were going to see in the preseason. We're talking about these Drexel Dragons. This is very much a sight to see. Amari Williams is balling out. Justin Moore obviously didn't have his best game in the last one against Monmouth, but battled back to have a great game now against Delaware. It's a great performance all around from the Dragons here. Another, maybe not. It was a very, very close and exciting game. It wasn't the dominant performance that we saw from Drexel, but you were at this one, so I'm going to defer to you for most of this. But St. Joe's winning in the final seconds against Duquesne at Hagan Arena, 71-69. Obviously, Cameron Brown scoring the go-ahead basket there. This was a great game. From the moment the ball got tipped, I mean, it was a close game all around. Krisis and Doko had a great game as well in this one. 21 points, 12 boards. You got contributions all around. Obviously, you mentioned Cameron Brown with the go-ahead basket. But I'm going to let you take it away because you were there. So what did you see in this one, in this win over Duquesne, who's now still winless in conference play?
Yeah, so you already touched on his name. Welcome to the party, Krisis Isandago, Kyle.
Isandago.
Played almost 32 minutes in this game. Career highs in both points and rebounds with 21 and 12. He was shooting threes. He was gobbling up rebounds. They were able to find him down low, and he was able to score in the paint. Really, really good game from him. And now you're seeing the guy that St. Joe's, like all the coaches were talking about how good this guy could be. He's getting his legs under him now. Like I said, played almost 32 minutes, played 1 second shy of 32 minutes in this game. So now that he's got his conditioning, he's got his wind back underneath of him. He can now get some consistent game reps and get into a rhythm on the court that's not deterred by some injuries. Fingers crossed he stays healthy and he continues to play. But yeah, really, really impressive game from him. Rasheer Fleming, I mean, stats-wise, not a great game from him. He did have 2 blocks in this, but from the way he's been playing, the production was not there from him on this day. So Krisis really picked it up and played well. Another guy, Kyle, this guy's one of my favorite players in the Big Five, even just as a freshman. How about the game that Xavier Brown had?
Xavier Brown.
Was only 3 of 11 from the field, but still had 11 points, had 5 assists in this game, had 2 steals. He had a play where he was flying around on defense, jumped into the bench, saved the ball. There was a missed 3. They threw the ball back to him, and he walked right up down the court, hit a 3 from the right wing. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. How smooth he is, his confidence. Like he looks so comfortable out there for a young player. And for this guy as a freshman to really be the sixth man for this team and be producing at a high level is really, really impressive to watch. I texted a friend of mine who was at the game, and I was like, "I is a star in the making. He was terrific on both ends in this game." And then Lynn Greer, you look at Duquesne playing with this game without Day Grant, like we had talked about, and Jimmy Clark at 21 this game, 8 and 19. But when it came down to the end of the game here, Lynn Greer, who is St. Joe's best defender, made it hard for him to even catch the ball. Really just denied the hell out of him the last 5 minutes of this game. And they were able to weather the storm with Jimmy Clark making 5 threes in this game, which they have to improve on. They have to get out to shooters. They let Jake DeMichael get loose for a couple. You have to keep your hands up. They need to contest shooters better when they get on the line. All things that are definitely correctable and habits still to continue to improve on. But it shouldn't have been this close, Kyle. They played very well. They led for almost 30 of the 40 minutes in this game, but they missed free throws. They were 12 of 19 in this game. Like I said, they let some shooters get loose. It should not have been this close. They had more turnovers than Duquesne. They had 14 turnovers in this game. Should not have been this close. But again, they're leading for a lot of these games, Kyle, just like they have in the other 4 games. They're leading for a lot. They just had to close it out. And that's what happened here. That's what happened. Cam Brown came to the rescue at the end. And Lynn Greer just it was an air ball. I don't think it was a bad look, though. It was a pretty contested look, but I didn't think it was a bad look at all. Billy Lang in the press conference afterwards said that they were trying to get like the play wasn't supposed to go to him. He was just kind of the outlet. So tried to go make a play there. Cam Brown gets the offensive rebound on the putback. And unfortunately, Kyle, Keith Dambrot's Duquesne Dukes still winless in the Atlantic 10. I don't think anybody saw that coming after the year that they had this year. Oh, it was close. It shouldn't have been. You take away the LaSalle game and even the 3 games that St. Joe's has lost have been nail biters and probably way closer than they had to be. But they found a way to get it done here, and that's all you can ask for. They have 2 wins now. 1 more gives them 3 in a row, can pull them back even here.
Yeah. And this was huge because they found a way to close it out in a close game. Obviously, the Salle game was a blowout. And then the other 3 games were games that they were leading in for the majority of the game, like you said. So this was a very, very important win for the Hawks. Probably, I would say probably their most important win of the year, to be honest. Just because it might not have been their highest quality opponent win that they've had all year. Obviously, I think Villanova takes that cake. But this is the most important win because they're in this stretch where they weren't closing out these games. They were in conference play. They had to figure something out. And they figured something out. They finally did. I know that Duquesne wasn't a fully healthy squad either, but this is important for them. So great job for them getting it done at Hagan Arena and finally closing out a game that they were leading in for a lot of the time. So good on them. Unfortunately, a team that did not have as much success at home this weekend was Penn. They lost 70-61 to Harvard. As you can tell by the 61 total points, they didn't have a lot of people scoring a bunch for the Quakers here. Nick Spinoso and Perkins were the leading scorers, 12 points each. Spinoso adding in 8 rebounds, of course. Angelo, I always mess up his name, Cope. Laskowski? I always say his name wrong. It's a very difficult one. 9 points, 4-7 from the field. But as a team, they only shot 35.7% from the field, only 20.7% from 3. Whereas Harvard was about 40 for each, which isn't great, but it's definitely a lot better when your opponent's not even reaching 36 on either category. So it's a rough one for them. Obviously, we've talked about it a lot. Clark Slackert isn't there. He would be the one helping them out in these games. Maybe this is a game they would win if Clark Slackert plays, but ultimately injuries happen throughout the season. They're dealing with this right now. And now things are getting a little bit questionable for Penn as it pertains to their Ivy League tournament chances. So how do you feel about this Quakers team right now? I know, we had previewed this last week and figured it would be a close game, but Penn would win. Obviously, that didn't happen. So how do you feel about these Quakers right now?
It's not great without Clark Slackert. There's still plenty of season to go here. I'm not hitting the panic button just yet because when he comes back, like you have one of the best shooters in the country and your best player and your best scorer. So not ready to hit the panic button just yet, but they are 1-2. They did lose a game on their home court. Like it happens. But last year they were very, very good. Very, very good. The only loss coming to Princeton. So, at least in league play. So, not hitting the panic button just yet. But, you know, against Harvard that I thought they could beat, now you have to go up there, still have 2 games against Princeton. You have to go to Dartmouth, which is like the worst road trip in the history of road trips, maybe ever. Having to go up there where they lost and they were far the superior team. Still have Yale, still have Cornell. Like, they still have tough games going. So they need Clark Slacker back. When that is, I don't know. But if we're hearing like a February timeline, well, we're starting to get close to that. And with the way the Ivy League schedule is, he's not going to miss. If he were to come back February 1 or somewhere close to that, then he's not going to miss. They just, without him and from an off night for Tyler Perkins, like results like this are going to happen. The scoring is not there, and an off night from 1 or 2 other guys. They don't have a ton of dynamite scores. It's really just Perkins, Sam Brown, Slacker. I mean, Spinoza will give you games like that, which is great. But his best trait is his passing. Can certainly get his when he can, but they just don't have that same explosion without Clark Slacker. But not hitting the panic button just yet. There's still time. They're only 5th right now in a tie with 2 other teams. No reason to slam that panic button just yet, especially if the Clark Slacker return is on the horizon here.
No, definitely not panicking yet for sure. Just, it's something to look out for. Obviously, they're only 3 games in conference play, but not playing their best basketball right now without Clark Slacker. So definitely something to keep an eye out on. But if he can ramp it back up here soon and get playing by, some point before the midway point of February, I think that would be a win for everybody involved. So we will see what happens there. And then finally, Cope, probably the game of the weekend. This, as much as that St. Joe's and Duquesne game was crazy, this game at the Wells Fargo Center was even more crazy. UConn 66, Villanova 65 final score. Very back and forth game. A game Villanova clawed their way back in a couple times. Obviously, when you're going against the #1 team in the country, it's going to be a battle. But they very nearly pulled off this upset. A game they should have won, Cope. TJ Bamba, 15 points on 4 of 11 from the field. Justin Moore, 15 and 5 on 7 of 9. Dixon did have an off night, which I'm going to let you get into too, because maybe that could be, something to take away from this game. He had 9 and 7 on 1 of 6 from the floor. And this is the other thing that I definitely want to mention. Hakeem Hart had 8 and 5 off the bench, 4 of 6 from the field. He was the only bench player, Cope, to score. And it's not like there was, bench players getting a couple minutes here and there. I mean, I think everybody else that played in this game played double-digit minutes, which is concerning, obviously, to only have 6 people be scoring in a game like this where you do need everybody to contribute. So I want to get your thoughts on this one. This was a very, very close game, a game that definitely could have won. Maybe they should have won, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a close game that they definitely could have won, but off night from Jordan Longino, who didn't score. Brandon Halston, after being scorching hot the last couple of games, 0 for 2. Yeah, the bench scoring is definitely concerning, but yeah, 9 points for Eric Dixon, 1 of 6 from the field. I mean, I think at some point you just tell him to be, he's got to pound a rock a little bit more. Didn't watch this game, was kind of off the rest of the night after being at Joe's, but yeah, look, the good thing is they play up the competition. Now they play down to it sometimes as well. Evident with their Big 5 loss, but they can get game, they can get ready for these games. They can, but you have to start winning these, because we mentioned a tough stretch that they're in right now, and they're 0-2. In this 5-game stretch where I said we're going to find out a lot about them. Pull out some wins like that. So on a night like that where Eric Dixon doesn't score as much, you need a Tyler Burton, you need a Jordan Longino, who's coming off an injury too, by the way, which unfortunately his production has been derailed by that the last couple of years. You haven't been able to see how good of a player he is consistently, really, until this year with the playing time and how much he's being asked to do. So I think they're just not that consistent yet. And then there's a lot of other factors, like I said, the injury to Longino and then an off night from Austin. It's like, okay, well, the bench scoring, comes from where? If Hakeem Hart's not on the tear that he is. If there's an off night from this many people against a good defensive team that has Donovan Clingan back, where else is the scoring come from? So good to see they were in a low scoring game, but definitely wish they could have pulled this out. But yeah, Donovan Clingan 6 and 7 on 24 minutes, had the 2 blocks in this game. But yeah, the tear Tristan Newton's been on. I mean, ever since the NCAA tournament last year, I mean, he's been on fire.
Yeah.
He's been really, really good with 25 in this game that led all scores. He's been very, very good. And look, this isn't like look, they're the number 1 team in the country. Like, it's not that, don't feel ashamed for losing to them. They showed that they can hang with them. They're going to have to go up and play. I think they're playing at the XL Center. I think that's where they usually go up there and play UConn. But look, like, they showed they can hang with these guys. They're going to play Gamble, my bad. Usually I think they play at XL Center. They play in Hartford. Yeah, they showed they can play with these with the team like UConn. Sucks they couldn't pull this out. Not the last time they're going to see them, Kyle, and potentially not. They might see this team 2 more times. You never know. So they showed they can hang with them. They need to start pulling these wins out. They're still in that tournament field. They are. This isn't a bad loss. It's not. No one's going to hold anything against for this one. But we have to start pulling these wins out. In this really hard stretch, I think 3 and 2 is definitely still doable. There's 1 at home. At the Garden against St. John's, we'll get into. And then you have Butler at Hinkle Fieldhouse. So it'll be tough, but there is still time to go 3 and 2 in this very hard stretch. And then, at the end of it, we can still be feeling very good about Villanova.
Yeah, I mean, and there's good things to take away from this game too. Obviously, we don't love moral victories around here, but there's good things to take away from this too. I mean, they competed their butts off with the number 1 team in the country. They had a lot of off games from people like you mentioned. If they have even the average performance from some of these guys, maybe they win this game. And the other thing too that I wanted to point out that I found in the box score this one, Nova had 21 fouls, UConn 14. So that discrepancy's a little bit not in their favor as well, which led to UConn shooting 7 more free throws, and they made 4 more free throws than Villanova did. So that is also something right there. Obviously, fouls are not up to you per se. So that's an unfortunate thing that they had to deal with there. But also, your star player, Eric Dixon, if he has a little bit of better game, if your bench plays a lot better, this is a game you can pull out. But these next 3 games in this stretch will definitely be able to tell what this team is made of. All right. Cope, we're going to do our end of episode previews now, obviously for the week here. So we're going to do a thing where we each pick a game and we're going to go over it and see what we're looking forward to for the rest of this week. So Cope, why don't you start us off? What game are you looking forward to for this midweek slate?
Well, I guess I'm not going too outside the box, picking the only game that there's going to be a ranked team being played in, but I will be at this game tomorrow. We'll be at Tom Goal Arena tomorrow to see newly moved up in the rankings. Number 16, the Dayton Flyers, sitting at 15 and 2, traveling to Tom Goal Arena to play against LaSalle, the best team that's going to come to Tom Goal Arena this year for sure. And listen, like I think this is actually like a total mismatch, Kyle, because you look at how small Dayton's been playing, with Ryan Zan playing a lot of minutes now because Rokas Yotsus has been in foul trouble a lot. And now you have to go against the guy in Deron Holmes who's going to hear his name called in the NBA draft, who's one of the best players in the country in conference play, Kyle. Averaging almost 24 points a game, over 8 rebounds a game, averaging 2 blocks a game, shooting 58% from the field, and he's 44% from 3, 8 of 18. The guy has been unstoppable the first 5 these first 5 games Atlantic 10 played. And that doesn't even account for the whole season where he's still been very good. When you have a guy like him who can block shots, who can shoot the 3 well, who only on 2 attempts a game is shooting over 40% from 3, doing this much damage from the field, gobbling up rebounds like that, and shooting that high of a percentage, I don't see anybody being able to guard him. Certainly
not on this LaSalle team, no.
Not 6'7" Ryan Zan, respectfully. Not going up against an NBA player that's going to have a height and a length advantage and an athleticism advantage on him. Don't see this going well. And then, okay, let's double team him. We should do that. The best 3-point shooter in college basketball, Kyle, is Kobe Bryant, who also happens to play for the Dayton Flyers, shooting almost 50% from three. Yes. 51 makes on 103 attempts. Can't leave that guy open. And even in a year where they lose Malachi Smith to injury again, which is a shame because the guy hasn't been healthy the last 2 years. They bring in a couple transfers. They bring in Enoch Cheeks. They bring in Nate Santos from Pittsburgh. They bring in some transfers that have been able to help them as well, along with some of their returns, Kobe Elvis, the aforementioned Kobe Bryant. This is a very, very good team under Anthony Grant. One of the best 3-point shooting teams, not just because they have Kobe Bryant, but just in general with how good DeRon Holmes is shot. This team is a problem because they have an unstoppable force right now in the paint. And if you decide to all collapse on him, there's a lot of guys that can build up from deep. So really don't like this matchup for LaSalle. But crazier things have happened. 2 years ago, when DeRon Holmes was a freshman, and Kobe Bryant and Kobe Elvis and R.J. Blakely and Malachi Smith were all freshmen. They had this great freshman class that started to gel, hit their stride toward the end. They were an at-large team. They go to Tom Gola Arena on senior day, and Ashley Howard's Explorers burst their bubble, keep this team from making the tournament. And I believe it would be Ashley Howard's last home game as well, Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So crazy things have happened. Crazier things have happened. But this is a very, very good team coming in. Potentially a team, Kyle, that if the A10's a 2-bid league, it's probably because the Flyers lose in the semis of the championship of the Atlanta 10 tournament. Looking forward to being at this game, but don't envision LaSalle winning this
one. It's short. I don't either. If there's any coach that can, get his guys ready and maybe give them a fight, it's definitely Fran Dunphy. But I mean, you explained it perfectly. There's just mismatches all over the board. This LaSalle team's been struggling lately too, which doesn't help. Obviously, it helps that it's at Tom Gola, but in short, I'm going to go with the Flyers here. Then I'm just going to leave it at that. There's a couple of good games for me to pick here from that aren't the Dayton LaSalle game you just picked. One in particular I'm looking at that it's not going to be my pick. St. Joe's at UMass. That's going to be a really good test for them on the road. See if they can keep this thing going, get that win streak to 3. Definitely think it's a game they can win, but it will be a very, very competitive game up there in UMass. But the game that I am picking, Cope, I mean, how could we not? Especially me as a Knicks fan. There's going to be a basketball game played at the Garden that isn't the Knicks, and it's going to be Villanova at St. John's. Obviously, St. John's got the better of Villanova at the Finn a few weeks ago. But as we've alluded to on this podcast many times, especially during conference tournament play last year, Villanova's really freaking good at Madison Square Garden. They do not lose very often at Madison Square Garden. Obviously, more so during conference tournament play. This is not exactly that. And St. John's hasn't exactly had the greatest teams over the last several years, but this team's pretty good. I think them and Villanova are very, very, they're on around the same level of competitiveness this year. Both teams definitely seem like they can be making the tournament this year. This is going to be a really, really, really close game. I'm probably going to pick Villanova just because I think them going to the Garden. It's not like it's going to phase them. It's not like it's going to be like, oh, or, one, obviously being the world's most famous arena, but then two, like they've done very, very well at the Garden. Everybody around Villanova circles knows that. I know Kyle Neptune knows that. He's going to prepare them for this game. Obviously, Rick Pitino's going to prepare his guys for his game too. He's one of the best coaches to ever step foot on the hardwood on any level. But I'm going to go with the Wildcats in this game. They're going to get revenge for St. John's beating them at the Finn and split the season series against the Johnnies. What do you think about this one?
Really, really close because I like I said, Villanova needs this one in this really tough stretch that they have. But also, like I think with the film that they have on the last game and the pressure, like that's what it's going to come down to again. How are they going to handle the pressure? How are they going to handle the St. John's defense? I think they'll be better equipped this time around now that they have some film. Now Rick Pitino's probably going to play chess on them and probably throw a bunch of different things at them, and everything that they prepared for the last game is not, is going to throw them off there. But yeah, this Johns team, man, they're really starting to. It's a shame because I said that they're really starting to hit their stride, and then Creighton, Seton Hall, Marquette, boom, 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 boom. All losses. They lose 3 to the really good team in this conference. 1 point losses to Creighton and Marquette, but losses nonetheless. So 2 teams that really need it. I think I'm going to go Villanova here to bounce back because I believe it's 30-5. I think there was a stat last year before they had played St. John's at the Garden that they were 28-4 there, and then they beat St. John's. They beat Georgetown in the Big East tournament, and then they lost to Creighton. So I think it's 30-5 since the new Big East was formed, which is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's they're the best team that plays at Madison Square Garden as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, give me a break. Hey, I'll tell you what, St. John's ain't throwing OG Anunoby out there, so maybe Villanova has a chance.
Yeah, I guess so. If they had him out there, they might, they would be far and away probably the best defensive team. They had trouble last time with the ball pressure. We'll throw OG at them, which respectfully, great move for the Knicks. It's not enough to do. You can bookmark it. I'll look so silly all I want. It's not good enough.
Listen, you might not be wrong, but there's other moves to be made. They're not done yet. How big those moves are to be determined. I I think ultimately, not to get too much on a Knicks tangent, but I do ultimately think that they will trade for Donovan Mitchell in the summer. This year, I think they can make the conference semis again. I think it's a very realistic goal. If they get a bench scorer like Jordan Clarkson, someone like that. I mean, I know Colin Sexton was maybe involved in some talks too. If they get Bruce Brown, that would be pretty cool too from the Raptors. Um, they're not going to win a championship this year, but they trade for Donovan Mitchell in the all season. We'll see. We'll see. But I digress. Yeah, I agree with you, Cope. I think Villanova's going to take this one. Both teams do need this, but I think they'll be able to prepare better for this one. They'll be able to face that pressure better, and hopefully have a solution for it and win this ball game. All right, that is pretty much it for this episode, Cope. Any final thoughts here before we sign off?
No, stay warm out there, everybody. Reason. Stay warm. Stay warm. Stay inside. Watch some college basketball. How about that?
Yeah,
How about
yeah.
that?
Well, I will say, on the day of this recording, it was about high of 35, and it felt like it was spring out because of how cold it's been lately. I walked to the grocery store in a sweatshirt and some sweatpants, and I was like, I don't even need a jacket. This is crazy. But yeah, stay warm, stay inside, watch college basketball. I don't have any other thoughts either. Um, other than the fact that we're now less than 2 months away from Selection Sunday. So give it up for that. Uh,
I think 2 months from today is the Saturday of the first weekend of March Madness. Get excited, Kyle. It's coming up.
yes. No, it's the 23rd. It's 23rd is the Saturday. But still, we're a month or 2 months away from the first weekend of the tournament. So very, very excited for that. And make sure you guys keep tuning in before then and during then and after then. But especially before and during, to keep up with all the coverage on your Big Five teams. And make sure you do that. Definitely want to subscribe to our YouTube and like our YouTube. Definitely going to want to follow us on social media at Big Five Pod, which would be Instagram and Twitter, of course. And if you want to keep track of this podcast, but don't want to, check out our pretty faces here, definitely make sure you check out the audio only versions on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That's Jake Copestick. I'm Kyle Morello, signing off for episode number 71 of Big Five Pod. We'll see you next time.